The Lyran Verge had been quiet for a long time. It was called the Garden of Peace by many alien travelers. The stars there were calm, the trade lanes safe, and the stations filled with scientists, artists, and diplomats. For hundreds of years, no warship had dared to enter this part of space. The Council of the Verge had strict laws. No weapons larger than patrol cutters, no military actions, no violence inside their zone. Every race respected this law because the Verge had power in another way. They were not strong in weapons, but they controlled the flow of rare resources and knowledge. Breaking the peace meant being cut off from trade, cut off from culture, and cut off from influence. For most of the galaxy, that was worse than war. Ambassador Kren of the Lyran people stood at the tall window of the council hall. His scaled skin reflected the soft light of the star chamber. Behind him, other ambassadors argued about research budgets, shipping rights, and cultural exchanges. It was a normal day in the Verge. Then the alarm sounded. A silver bell rang across the chamber, loud and sharp. Lights shifted from calm white to urgent red. The room fell silent. Everyone looked toward the main screen. "Unidentified vessel has crossed the border," said the station AI. "Signature, not of Verge origin. Military-grade hull detected." The council erupted in noise. Ambassadors shouted over one another. "Impossible. No warships allowed. This is a violation." Kren narrowed his eyes. His aides worked quickly on their datapads. Within seconds, a new image filled the screen. A dark, heavy shape moving through the stars. Its armor was scarred, blackened in places, but its engines burned steady. It was not elegant like Verge ships. It looked rough, practical, built for survival. The system identified it. Human warship. Designation unknown. The words carried weight. Humans were still a young species in the wider galaxy. They had entered space only a few centuries ago, yet they had already gained a reputation. To some aliens, they were clever but reckless. To others, they were dangerous and unpredictable. Many called them Death Worlders because their home planet was so hostile compared to most worlds. "Send them a demand," Kren ordered. His voice cut through the noise. No warship is allowed in the Verge. They must explain themselves or be expelled. The AI transmitted the order. For several moments there was silence. The chamber held its breath. Then a voice answered, clear and firm, carried through translation systems. "This is Commander Mara Hale of the human ship Valiant Dawn. We request safe harbor. Our ship has suffered damage on patrol. We need supplies and medical care for our crew. We mean no harm, but we will not give up our weapons. Humans do not abandon defense." Gasps filled the chamber. Some ambassadors shouted angrily. "Arrogant. They defy the law already. Refuse them." Kren raised his hands for order. He studied the human ship's image. The vessel was scarred, but it still carried weapons enough to destroy half the Verge's patrol fleet. If they allowed it inside, it could threaten every station. But if they refused and fired, the humans might resist and war would stain the Garden of Peace. The council debated for hours. Finally, a vote was made. The human ship would be contained and forced to disarm. If it refused, the Verge would act with force. Kren himself was chosen to send the message. His scaled face filled the human bridge screen. "Commander Hale," he said, his voice full of authority. "By law of the Verge, no warship may stay armed within this zone. You will surrender all weapons to our control. If you refuse, we will surround your vessel and take them by force." The human woman appeared calm. She had short dark hair, eyes that seemed older than her face, and a uniform worn but neat. Behind her, alien translators could see humans working with steady hands. No panic, no fear. "Ambassador Kren," she said, "we respect your laws, but we cannot hand over our weapons. Not because we plan to use them, but because of our history. Too many times humans gave up arms and were betrayed. We will not repeat that mistake. We seek only shelter and medical aid, nothing more." Her refusal was polite but firm. The council chamber exploded in anger again. To them, refusal was equal to defiance. To let her stay armed would mean breaking centuries of rule. Kren gave the final order. "Prepare boarding parties. The humans will learn that the Verge does not bend." The first Lyran cutters approached the Valiant Dawn. They were sleek, white, shaped like curved blades, built more for speed than war. Boarding craft detached and locked onto the human hull. Inside, Commander Hale gave quick orders. "First Officer J, Defense Plan 2. No lethal shots. Keep casualties light. Show them who we are, but do not kill unless forced. The crew obeyed without hesitation. Humans moved with practiced speed, setting up traps in corridors, activating hidden systems, and preparing non-lethal tools. When the Lyran troops forced entry, they expected a frightened crew. Instead, they met smokescreens, false doors, and sudden bursts of electromagnetic pulses that disabled their weapons. Humans used simple tricks, light flashbangs, stun fields, sudden wall charges, to confuse and scatter the attackers. In one corridor, a Lyran squad rushed forward, only to find the floor slick with a quick layer of foam that sent them sliding helplessly into containment nets. In another, a team was trapped when humans sealed bulkheads with magnetic locks. The humans fought smart, not brutal. They avoided killing blows. They knocked down, restrained, and disarmed, but never executed. Within 20 minutes, every Lyran boarding team was defeated. Dozens of soldiers sat restrained, their weapons piled useless in corners. Commander Hale opened a channel to the council. "Ambassador, your people are unharmed. We returned their weapons. We only defended ourselves. Please understand, we are not here to conquer. We only wish to stay alive." The council did not answer immediately. Inside the hall, chaos erupted once more. Some ambassadors were shaken by how easily humans had defended themselves without killing. Others were enraged that a single ship had humiliated Verge troops. Kren's face burned with shame and anger. "They mock our laws," he hissed. "If we do nothing, our peace means nothing." The council screens filled with warnings. Verge fleets were mobilizing. Dozens of cutters and frigates moved into formation, surrounding the Valiant Dawn. Weapons were powered, shields raised. Inside her ship, Commander Hale stood straight and calm. Her crew waited silently, hands on controls, ready for battle if it came, through the void of space. The warning echoed in every channel of the Verge. "A human warship has entered the zone." The message spread like fire. Traders whispered it. Scientists paused their work. Citizens of the Verge looked to the stars with fear. The Garden of Peace had been disturbed, and nobody knew what would happen next. The Valiant Dawn floated in silence, its dark hull surrounded by dozens of Verge ships. The sleek white cutters and frigates formed a cage of light around the human warship. Every weapon was pointed inward. Every voice in the Verge shouted the same thing: the humans must be contained. Inside the council hall, the debate raged all night. Ambassador Kren stood tall in the center. His golden scales shimmered under the light, but his voice was sharp with anger. "They entered armed. They defied our laws. They defeated our soldiers. If we let them stay, every world will think the Verge is weak. They must disarm or be destroyed." Others agreed loudly, but not all. Dr. Sela, a scientist of the Lyran kind, spoke in a calm voice. Her long crest of blue feathers swayed as she turned her head. "These humans showed mercy," she said. "They disabled our soldiers without killing. That is not the action of conquerors. We should hear their case before deciding war." "Mercy?" Kren snapped. "Do you not see? They humiliated us. They refuse our law. Peace cannot survive if we make exceptions." The council chamber boiled with shouts. Finally, the Speaker of the Council struck the bell. "The decision is made. The human ship will be held in place. They will not be allowed to dock or move. If they resist again, we will open fire." On the Valiant Dawn, Commander Mara Hale listened to the message. Her crew watched her carefully. Some were tired, others angry, but all waited for her word. "They mean to box us in," said First Officer Jay. He stood with arms crossed, his voice steady. "We could break their line if we use the main drives. But that would start a war." Hale shook her head. "No, we're not here to start fights. We need food, medicine, and time. That is all. If we fight, every rumor about humans being savages will become truth." Her crew nodded, though unease filled the air. "Open a channel," Hale said. Her voice spread across the Verge fleet and into the council chamber. "We understand your fears, but hear us. We do not carry plague or secret weapons. We carry wounded, refugees, and evidence of something far worse than our guns. A predator species is moving through our space, consuming worlds. We fled deep patrol to warn others. We ask only for temporary shelter." For a moment, silence answered. Then shouts filled the council once again. "Lies. Tricks. They bring danger to us." Kren stepped forward. "Commander Hale, you speak of threats, but where is your proof? Where is your data?" Hale gave a slow nod. "We will share it. But first we ask a fair chance. Allow neutral scientists aboard. Let them see our logs, our scans, our wounded. If we lie, you will know. This request made many pause. It was bold but also open. The council debated again. Finally, they allowed a small team of observers to board the Valiant Dawn. Dr. Sela was chosen to lead the team.
She entered the human ship with 6 aides.
She expected filth, chaos, and violence. Instead, she found order. The corridors were narrow but clean. The crew moved with discipline. Everywhere she looked, humans worked quietly, repairing systems, checking machines, tending to patients. Their uniforms were worn, but their eyes were sharp. Commander Hale greeted her with a short bow. "Doctor, you will see everything you wish." No doors closed. Silas studied her closely. The human woman was tired but unbroken. Her voice carried calm strength. Sela followed as Hale led her to the medical bay. There, rows of injured humans lay in beds. Some were burned, others weak from radiation, others scarred by battle. Medics worked quickly, using simple but clever machines. They spoke softly to each patient, never leaving anyone alone. "These are our wounded," Hale said. "They are why we came here. They need more than we can give." Sela moved carefully among them. The humans looked at her with curiosity, but no fear. She scanned them, checked their blood, and watched their treatments. She found no hidden plague, no strange contagion, only normal life, wounded but alive. Next, Hale showed her the evidence. On the screens were recordings of dark ships, twisted in shape, tearing through colonies. Strange energy readings burned bright, and whole stations vanished in fire. "This is the predator we speak of," Hale said. "We fought them and barely escaped. If they are not stopped, they will reach your borders one day." Sela felt a chill run through her feathers. She believed the evidence. But would the council believe her? Back in the hall, Sila presented her findings. "The humans speak truth," she said firmly. "There is no plague. Their wounded are real. The threat they describe is real. We must listen." Some ambassadors nodded slowly, but Kren slammed the table with his clawed hand. "You are blind. Can you not see the danger in front of you? They are armed. They refuse our law. This story of predators may be nothing but an excuse to keep weapons in our zone. They must leave or they must be broken." The council split. Half believed Sila, half followed Kren. Arguments grew louder, harsher. Then something unexpected happened. A message flashed across Verge networks. It came from outside the zone. A voice none of them recognized spoke. "Humans are carriers of war. They bring ruin wherever they go. If you let them stay, your peace will burn." The message repeated again and again, bouncing through every channel. Fear spread quickly. Citizens demanded the human ship be removed. "Who sent this?" Sela asked, shocked. The analyst searched. The signal had been masked, but traces remained. They came not from the humans, but from somewhere else. A cloaked convoy on the edge of the zone. The council ignored the detail. Fear ruled now. "Contain them," Kren ordered. "If they resist again, destroy them." On the Valiant Dawn, Hale read the message too. She knew it was not random. Someone wanted the galaxy to fear humans. We're being framed. Jay muttered. "Someone profits if we die here." "Then we need proof," Hale said. She turned to her crew. "Prepare a plan. If we can show the Verge who sent that message, maybe they'll see the truth. Until then, we hold." The human warship powered down most systems, showing restraint. But inside, its crew worked non-stop, gathering data, preparing defenses, and waiting for the next move. Outside, the Verge ships tightened their ring. Lights glowed on their weapons. Tension filled the stars like a storm waiting to break. The quiet Garden of Peace was no longer quiet. The stars outside the Valiant Dawn were calm, but tension ran high on both sides. The Verge ships still surrounded the human warship, their weapons powered, their crews nervous. Inside the human ship, Commander Mara Hale moved quietly through the corridors, speaking with her officers and crew. "We cannot wait for them to act blindly," Hale said to First Officer Jay in the control room. "Someone sent that warning. We need to find out who. It is not the Verge. They fear us, yes, but they do not lie like that." Jay nodded. "I've scanned the network." The signal came from a cloaked convoy beyond the Verge perimeter. It's professional, deliberate. Someone wants them to think humans are dangerous. Hale's eyes narrowed. Then we follow it. Quietly, we trace it and we expose them. No one fires if they see the truth. Meanwhile, in the council hall, Dr. Sela argued for caution. "The humans are not lying," she said. "We have proof in their logs and medical scans. Someone outside our zone is manipulating events. We must investigate before committing to war." Kren hissed. Do you believe humans over your own people? They are armed. They defy law. If we act slowly, they will grow stronger. Fear is real. They must leave or die. The council was split more sharply than ever. Some members feared chaos. Others trusted the evidence Scylla presented. Tension rose as the Verge fleet held position around the Valiant Dawn. Scylla decided to act. She arranged for a small team of scientists and tacticians to board the Valiant Dawn for a joint investigation. They would trace the cloaked convoy, identify the signal, and report findings back to the council. The joint team moved cautiously through the narrow corridors of the human ship. For some Lyrans, the environment was uncomfortable. Humans worked quickly, without rituals or ceremony, with quiet efficiency. They carried tools, diagnostic scanners, and small weapons, all in precise order. Hale guided the team to the control deck, where Jay had prepared a secondary command station for covert operations. "We are not here to fight your fleet," Hale said calmly. "We need speed, intelligence, and discretion. If we act too loudly, the Verge may mistake us for aggression." The Lyrans nodded reluctantly. Even Kren, watching remotely, could not deny the humans' professionalism. The team traced the warning signal across the Verge network, following encrypted relays and cloaked nodes. The path led outward, past the Verge border to a series of abandoned relay stations. There the signal had originated not from the humans, not from any Verge source, but from a hidden convoy moving silently in the dark. "This is not random," Jay said. "This convoy is professional. Someone wants war. Someone wants us blamed." Dr. Sela's crest feathers shook with alarm. "Who would do this? Who profits from us fighting the humans?" Hale did not answer immediately. She studied the traces. The Mantor Combine. They trade in weapons, conflict, and chaos. They profit when the galaxy fights itself. This is their work. The human ship accelerated quietly, slipping through the Verge blockade without triggering alarms. Small sensor drones led the way, scanning for cloaked ships. The Lyran team watched in amazement as the humans worked. Every move was precise, every measure thought out. There was no panic, only calculated action. Finally, the signal source was located, a convoy of Mantor ships hiding near a cluster of dead stars. They were heavily shielded, ready for attack, and sending out encrypted warnings to Verge networks. Hale turned to Scylla. "We need proof. We cannot strike them. They would call it an attack. We expose them. Show the Verge that humans were never the threat." Scylla hesitated. "That could be dangerous. The Mantor Combine will fight if discovered." Hale's eyes were firm. "Yes, but we cannot wait for the Verge to act blindly. If war comes, we will fight, but we can prevent it first. Are you with us?" Scylla nodded, fear and respect in her gaze. The humans launched a small covert boarding operation. Using grappling pods and stealth hulls, a team entered the first Mantor ship. They moved silently, avoiding sensors and patrols. Inside, they found communications relays and encrypted logs. Using human tech, Jade decrypted the files in minutes. The data revealed the truth. The Combine had sent the warnings, falsified reports, and manipulated Verge sensors to make the humans appear dangerous. Every piece of evidence was carefully documented: timestamps, signal pathways, and falsified Verge readings. "Here," Jay said, holding a datapad toward Scylla. "All proof." The humans were framed. Scylla's eyes widened. "This is undeniable. The Council must see this immediately." But discovery came with risk. The Mantor crew noticed the intruders. Alarms blared, lights flashed, and automated defenses activated. The small human team was cornered. Hale gave orders calmly. "No lethal force unless necessary. Disable, confuse, retreat. Keep everyone alive." The humans moved with precision. Small EMP charges knocked out shields on one corridor. Flash fields blinded automated turrets. Magnetic grapples immobilized heavy machinery. They avoided killing Mantor personnel. By the time the Verge fleet would have noticed, the humans had secured the evidence and retreated. The boarding team returned to the Valiant Dawn, carrying the full data logs. Scylla examined them carefully. "This proves everything. The Mantor Combine is manipulating events. They want war, not peace." Hale nodded. "Now we take this to the Verge. We have one chance to prevent conflict." Back at the council hall, the data arrived. The screens displayed the Mantor logs, the falsified signals, and the timestamps. Gasps filled the chamber. Members stared at the evidence, unable to deny the truth. Kren's scales paled. "This cannot be." "The humans," Scylla spoke up. They have been truthful all along. The humans came seeking aid, not war. The Mantor Combine orchestrated the warnings. They framed us to provoke violence. Some ambassadors looked relieved, but others were still angry. Fear is not easily erased. The human reputation in the galaxy was already controversial. Then, worse news arrived. A hardline faction in the Council had not waited. They had hijacked a Verge battlecruiser, intending to attack the Valiant Dawn during refit. Their orders were secret, but the humans could detect movement through subtle sensors. Hale did not panic. They will strike if we do nothing, but if we act cleverly, we can defend ourselves without breaking the Verge's laws entirely. We need precision, timing, and restraint. Jay grinned slightly. I like it when things get interesting. The Valiant Dawn prepared for the incoming strike. Humans moved non-lethally, deploying decoy drones, activating shields, and setting up traps along predictable attack paths. They did not fire first. They did not engage in mass destruction. Their goal was simple: defend themselves, save lives, and reveal the truth to the Verge. As the hijacked cruiser approached, the Valiant Dawn broadcast the Mantor evidence across the Verge network. Every station, every ship, every diplomat received proof. Humans had been framed. The public could see the truth. Inside the council hall, chaos erupted again. Some council members shouted for mercy, for dialogue. Others, still loyal to fear and anger, demanded attack. The hijacked cruiser slowed. Its captain hesitated. Receiving messages from subordinates, the truth was now visible. The Combine's manipulations were exposed. Many on the ship refused orders, realizing they were about to attack a ship that had never intended harm. Commander Hale and First Officer Jay waited quietly, observing every move. The humans' restraint, their mercy, and their clever tactics had worked. By acting decisively yet morally, they prevented a war before it began. Scylla, standing at the observation deck, watched in awe. She whispered softly, "These humans, they are not what I expected. They fight, yes, but they fight with intelligence, with honor. They are remarkable." Hale's voice came over the comms. "We survive because we act as humans should. Clear thinking, precise action, and protecting life whenever possible. Now the Verge knows who we truly are." The cloaked Mantor convoy, realizing their plan had failed, began retreating. They would not strike openly. Not while their manipulation had been exposed. The humans had outplayed them, without killing a single innocent. The Valiant Dawn floated in the middle of the Verge fleet. It was battered but unbroken. Around it, the Lyran ships now lowered weapons slightly. The first steps toward understanding had begun. The Garden of Peace had not yet healed, but a new truth had emerged. Humans were clever, determined, and moral, even when every expectation said otherwise. The hijacked Verge battlecruiser moved fast. Its hull gleamed white under the Verge star, massive and armed to the teeth. Commander Kren's orders were clear: destroy the Valiant Dawn before it could rally support. Fear, anger, and pride fueled every crew member aboard the stolen vessel. Inside the Valiant Dawn, Commander Mara Hale stood on the bridge, calm and precise. "They intend to strike during refit," she said, scanning the sensors. "They have heavy weapons. Shields are strong, but not invincible. We cannot let them destroy us. Jay, begin non-lethal countermeasures. We need to defend, not kill." First Officer Jay smirked slightly. "Non-lethal, but impressive. I like it. Let's show them the human way." Hale activated the ship-wide defensive systems. Small drones, detached silently from hidden bays, moving ahead to mark paths and distract enemy sensors. The crew worked together like a single organism. Engineers monitored shields, medics prepared emergency stations, and tactical officers calculated every move. "We will make them hesitate," Hale said. "Their fleet relies on numbers. One ship, clever, can disrupt them." The Valiant Dawn accelerated slowly, appearing vulnerable. It opened some sections of the hull for repair, showing the attackers what looked like weak points. The hijacked battlecruiser crept closer, ready to strike. Then the humans struck, but not with weapons. Drones released flash fields, creating sudden light bursts that blinded cameras and sensors on the enemy ship. At the same time, micro-EMP pulses disrupted targeting systems. The battlecruiser's weapons flickered and misfired. Every strike it attempted was neutralized before leaving the ship. Inside the human ship, Medics treated minor injuries among the crew. Every human moved calmly, focused, never panicked. This balance of action and care unnerved the attacking crew. They had expected a terrified or chaotic enemy, not organized, disciplined humans acting without aggression. The battle escalated. The hijacked cruiser attempted a boarding maneuver, releasing assault pods. Hale anticipated this. "Drones to corridors Alpha through Gamma," she ordered. "Electromagnetic locks ready, nets armed. Keep them alive, but delay them." As the boarding pods entered the human ship, the drones guided them into containment nets. Magnetic locks sealed bulkheads. Flash grenades temporarily stunned boarding crews. Within minutes, the would-be attackers were restrained and disarmed without a single death. Scylla, observing from the control room, whispered, "I have never seen tactics like this. Precise, controlled, yet humane. They could have destroyed everyone, but they didn't." Hale gave a slow nod. "We are human. We fight smart. We fight fair. And we fight to protect life, not for vengeance." Meanwhile, Jay monitored the hijacked cruiser's systems. He found a weakness. The ship's automated weapons relied on old programming. He tapped into the sensors remotely, feeding false, targeting data that caused weapons to misfire and shields to cycle incorrectly. "Now we create the illusion of overwhelming force," Jay said. "They will believe more humans are coming than really are." Hale smiled faintly. "Perfect. Let's finish the first phase." Drones projected holographic images of additional human ships appearing from behind the Verge fleet. The battlecruiser's captain froze, unsure what was real and what was illusion. Hesitation spread through the crew. Orders conflicted. Confusion grew. At the same time, Hale sent a broadcast to the entire Verge network. It displayed proof of the Mantor Combine's manipulation, showing every falsified signal, every tampered log, and every false accusation. Citizens, fleet crews, and council members watched the evidence. Inside the hijacked cruiser, fear replaced anger. Many crew members realized they had been misled. Orders from Kren's hardliners no longer made sense. Some refused to fire, refusing to attack a ship that had never harmed them. "Broadcast live," Hale instructed. "Make sure every officer and crew member sees who is responsible." The image of truth spread across the stars. The human message was clear. "We are not your enemy. The real enemy hides in the shadows." The final phase of Hale's plan required a delicate touch. The Valiant Dawn moved between the hijacked cruiser and the Verge fleet. It created a corridor of safety, ensuring that any aggressive shots from the cruiser would risk hitting Verge ships as well. "This is risky," Scylla whispered. "If they fire, many will die." Hale's voice was steady. "Then they will see the cost of blind aggression, but we give them a chance to stop before blood is spilled. That is the human way." As the battlecruiser's crew hesitated, the Valiant Dawn sent teams aboard the enemy vessel not to fight but to rescue and disarm. Humans worked with calm authority, treating minor injuries among the enemy crew and securing weapons. Their presence and moral clarity stunned the Verge citizens and fleet crews watching the event unfold. By the time the confrontation ended, the hijacked battlecruiser was under control. Its crew surrendered voluntarily, seeing the futility of aggression. Weapons were disabled, but no one was killed. The humans had defended themselves, protected life, and revealed the truth in one clean, brilliant maneuver. Commander Kren could do nothing but watch. His plan to destroy the humans had failed. His rage and pride were wounded, but his people were alive, and that gave him pause. Dr. Scylla stepped forward, feathers ruffling with awe. They are not only capable of battle, they have honor, intelligence, control. They inspire confidence, even fear. But not the kind you expect. The humans are remarkable." Hale nodded. "We fight to survive. We fight to protect. We fight to teach others that strength and mercy are not enemies." Aftermath settled slowly. The Valiant Dawn returned to its refit routines. Engineers repaired damaged systems. Medics treated crew and rescued Verge personnel alike. The captured crew from the battlecruiser were treated humanely, given care and food. The Verge fleet, still surrounding the human ship, lowered weapons in stages. They had witnessed an unfamiliar kind of power, one rooted not in force alone, but in intelligence, morality, and courage. On the council hall screens, the evidence of the Mantor Combine's deception was displayed again. Ambassadors debated, now armed with proof, and the public's opinion shifted. Humans were no longer seen as reckless invaders. They were clever, moral, and worthy of trust, even if they remained outsiders in the galaxy. Hale gathered her officers on the bridge. "This is what humans do," she said quietly. "We adapt, we protect, we outthink, and we survive. And we do it without killing unless absolutely necessary. Remember this. That is what makes us human." Jay nodded. "And that is why they underestimated us. They expected only weapons and anger. Instead, they got strategy, precision, and mercy." The valiant dawn floated in the quiet stars, surrounded but victorious. It had survived not through sheer force, but through cleverness, restraint, and morality. Every move, every decision reflected the essence of human ingenuity and courage. Somewhere, the Mantor Combine watched through distant sensors. Their plan had failed spectacularly. Their manipulations were exposed. And they realized that humans were not only dangerous, they were unpredictable, clever, and impossible to intimidate. The Garden of Peace was shaken, but not destroyed. Citizens of the Verge whispered about the humans, about their bravery, their discipline, their morality. Some were afraid, others were inspired, but all had seen the human way in action, a perfect balance of strength and honor. For the first time, many Lyrans felt something new: respect. The humans were not mere warriors. They were teachers of survival, strategy, and courage. And in the distance, Commander Hale watched the stars, knowing the galaxy had seen a glimpse of human potential. But she also knew the struggle was not over. The Combine would not rest. The galaxy was full of shadows waiting for fear. Yet, the valiant dawn was ready. Humans would face the future, clever, moral, and unbroken. The stage was set. The galaxy had changed, and the humans had made their mark. The stars above the Lyran Verge shone quietly, but the calm was different now. It was no longer the simple, unbroken peace that had lasted centuries. Something had changed. Humans had entered, fought cleverly, and proven themselves in ways the galaxy had never expected. The valiant dawn floated at the center of the Verge fleet, its hull scarred but intact. Around it, the Lyran ships moved carefully, respectful now, their weapons lowered. The citizens of the Verge watched from stations and colonies, whispering among themselves about the humans who had faced overwhelming odds and survived, all without killing unnecessarily. Inside the valiant dawn, Commander Mara Hale gathered her crew in the briefing room. They were tired, yes, but their eyes held determination. They had defended themselves, exposed the Mantor Combine, and shown the Verge what humans were capable of. But there was still work to do. "We've done more than survive," Hale said. "We've taught the Verge something important. Strength is not only measured in weapons, but in cleverness, restraint, and morality. That is the human way. But we must ensure the lessons last. The galaxy is watching." First Officer Jay nodded. "And they won't forget it anytime soon. The Verge will think twice before underestimating humans again." On the council hall screens, Dr. Sela presented a full report. She had spent days analyzing the evidence of the Mantor Combine's manipulation and the humans' actions. "These humans," she said, her crest feathers rising with pride, faced deception, threats, and attack. And yet they acted with intelligence, precision, and honor. They defended themselves and others without unnecessary harm. The Verge can learn much from them. They are not merely warriors, they are teachers of strategy and morality. Some ambassadors still murmured with distrust. Kren, humbled, remained quiet. He had seen the humans' tactics firsthand, seen their mercy, and understood that brute force alone was not the human way. The council finally voted on a new directive. The humans would be allowed to remain temporarily in the Verge. They would share knowledge, assist in defense, and help maintain peace, but only if both humans and Lyrans worked together. Side by side, it was a historic decision. In the Valiant Dawn's medical bay, human and Lyran medics worked together. Wounded from the hijacked cruiser and Verge patrols were treated equally, with care and compassion. Humans taught Lyrans new techniques for field medicine. Lyrans shared knowledge of their long-lived biology and advanced healing methods. Children and civilians from the Verge watched in awe. They had expected humans to be brutal, aggressive, or reckless. Instead, they saw humans who were clever, disciplined, and kind. Dr. Sela observed quietly. They are everything I underestimated. Humans are not only capable fighters but teachers of life. Hale smiled. We fight, we survive, and we teach. That is what humans do. The captured crew of the hijacked battlecruiser were treated with respect. They had followed orders without knowing the full truth, and the humans recognized this. No one was executed. No one was punished beyond disarmament and careful supervision. This act shocked the Verge population. They were accustomed to harsh punishment for defiance. Seeing humans show mercy and fairness changed perceptions immediately. Even Kren could not hide a grudging respect. This is unusual, he said quietly. They could have killed us. But they didn't. They acted as humans should, Sela nodded. They did not merely survive, they changed how we see ourselves. Outside, the Mantor Combine retreated. Their attempts to manipulate the Verge had failed. They had expected chaos, war, and opportunity. Instead, they found exposure, defeat, and a lesson in human unpredictability. The Combine would return one day, that was certain. But for now, the humans and the Verge had proven that cleverness, morality, and discipline could win where weapons alone might fail. Hale and Jay prepared to meet the Council personally. They were escorted to the Council Hall aboard small shuttles, moving among Verge citizens who watched in cautious curiosity. The humans' reputation had shifted from potential threat to respected ally. Inside the hall, Hale addressed the Council directly. We came seeking shelter. Nothing more, she said. We faced threats not because of our intent, but because someone wanted fear to spread. We protected lives, we exposed deception, and we honored your laws as best we could while defending ourselves. That is how humans act. Strength and honor go together. We will not forget peace. We hope you do not either, silence followed. Then a wave of murmurs passed through the council chamber. Kren, standing at the edge, bowed his head slightly in acknowledgement. Even he could not deny the truth in her words. In the following weeks, the Verge began to rebuild trust. Humans worked alongside Lyrans to repair stations damaged by storms and sabotage. They shared their tactical knowledge, teaching defense strategies that relied on cleverness, adaptation, and humane restraint. Traders, scientists, and ordinary citizens began to respect humans in a way few expected. The galaxy's myths about reckless humans began to crumble. Here was a species that could survive anywhere, think on its feet, and fight while still honoring life. Sela published a detailed report on the events, praising human ingenuity and morality. It became a widely studied document, not just in the Verge, but across neighboring systems. For generations, it would serve as proof of what humans could achieve, not just in war, but in survival, leadership, and honor. Commander Hale walked through the rebuilt corridors of the Valiant Dawn. The ship hummed with life. Crew members repaired equipment, tended to wounded, and trained alongside Lyrans. She paused at the observation deck and looked out at the Verge fleet. History will remember this, she said quietly to Jay. Not because of guns, but because we acted wisely, carefully, and morally. That is the human way, Jay nodded, and we'll be ready when the next challenge comes. The Combine won't rest forever, Hale smiled faintly. Let them come. We will face them, as always, with brains, courage, and honor. That is what makes us human. Months later, the Verge celebrated a new treaty. Humans were granted a permanent advisory role, helping to maintain peace, train crews, and assist with defense systems. Council members who had opposed them before now saw the value of cooperation. Children learned human strategies in schools, not to fight, but to solve problems, think critically, and protect life. Scientists collaborated on projects that combined human ingenuity with Lyran experience. The Garden of Peace was no longer naive. It was stronger, smarter, safer. And humans were at its heart not as conquerors but as guardians and teachers. Even Kren admitted quietly to Sila, I was wrong. Humans, they are remarkable. Perhaps we have underestimated them for too long. Sila nodded. They do not seek glory or conquest. They seek survival, justice, and wisdom. And in doing so, they change the galaxy. In the distance, the Mantor Combine watched from beyond the Verge borders. Their plans had failed, but they were still patient. Hale knew their return was inevitable. Yet the humans had shown that even when the galaxy expected fear, violence, and chaos, they could survive, outthink, and teach. The valiant Dawn prepared for the next mission. Crew members trained, repaired, and planned quietly. The galaxy would face humans again, but now it knew what they could achieve. Not just with weapons, but with courage, intelligence, and honor. Hale stood at the bridge watching stars move past the observation window. She thought of the Verge, of her crew, and of the lessons learned. They thought we were invaders, she whispered. We arrived as a storm, and we remain as rain. Gentle, persistent, and unforgettable. The stars were calm, but the galaxy was no longer the same. Humans had changed it, not through terror, but through the human way. Cleverness, morality, and courage. The Verge would remember. The Combine would remember. And humans would continue to thrive, survive, and teach wherever the stars took them next.